I'm Sammy Gardner, the host of the Career Kickstart Show. I'm really excited about this series of special episodes, Secrets from the Old Girls Network. Now, let's be real. Historically, women have not gotten the same amount of mentoring men have in what has been called the Old Boys Network. This series aims to amplify the voices of women and their wisdom. Are you ready for the Secrets from the Old Girls Network? In this episode of the Secrets from the Old Girls Network, I turn the mic over to Anna and Jenny from Diverse Communities, LLC, who provide diversity and inclusion services to companies and organizations. This episode is really targeted to the managers, business owners, and team leaders especially. Anna and Jenny, due to their personal and professional backgrounds, specialize in Latina, refugee, and immigrant populations. However, there's going to be a lot of insights for anyone wanting to empower other historically marginalized people in their organization, as employees. Diversity and inclusion are important, not just because there have been a few heavy hitters in the personal development scene who have found themselves knee-deep in scandal recently. There's so many reasons, for just good business, for productivity, for company morale, that diversity is so important. But right now we got people like Tony Robbins, who is, ran afoul of the Me Too movement, and now Danielle Laporte, who is under fire for both her marketing materials and her response to criticism from women of color. Diversity specialists help companies and organizations navigate those issues. But it's not just CEOs or celebrities who could use help with diversity, and it's not just those sort of people who can impact a work environment in a company. All employees can contribute to a positive or a negative environment for their coworkers and their customers, and that's why I feel like this episode is important, just food for thought for anyone who's in a leadership or in any organization, whether they are, coordinating interns to being a vice president of a department. And I will say this, since most of my audience are women, that diversity doesn't end at gender. An empowering workspace is one that's inclusive. It's one that takes in account race, sexual orientation, and any number of those intersections that make our culture, our lives so unique. And I feel like when we come to this idea that diversity is a strength, that's going to make it easier for, companies to bypass all these, diversity fails and really be able to create a company culture that they can be proud of. And now, with that being said, I'm happy to pass the mic to Jenny and Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Sion.
And I'm Jenny Poole-Radway, and together we're Diverse Communities, LLC.
And we work a lot with Latino, immigrant, and refugee communities and helping people feel empowered in reaping the benefits of those communities.
And Sammy asked us to create a little video that talked about Latina empowerment in the workplace and business. And oftentimes what we do is more focusing on helping the business be more accepting and understanding and knowledgeable about how to work with diverse communities. However, we've also done a lot of work with helping empower diverse community members to advocate for themselves and feel comfortable in their shoes and be successful in who they are.
That kind of interface between, getting a better understanding of each other and how do you stand in your truth and bring your full self in places that sometimes they don't necessarily understand who you are or your complete self, or they don't understand or know what they don't know about you.
Absolutely. So we were thinking a little bit about some examples of people that we've worked with before, and to give you guys a little background about ourselves, although you can find more at our website, which is www.diversecommunities.net. I was born and raised in Costa Rica, and
I was born in Kansas and raised in the Midwest, so straight up the middle.
Yes. And we work really well together because we've done a lot of work with Latino community members, immigrant community members, refugee community members, and Anna did a couple of years of Peace Corps in Latin America as well. So I was thinking about it in terms of how oftentimes Latinas feel conflicted in the workplace and in business. And part of that conflict is that we're very used to getting the message of you have to be a certain way or look a certain way to be successful. That may be, the way you speak, the way you address others, the way you do your makeup or your hair, how you dress. And really, because of the work that Anna and I have done, we know that a lot of that comes from a culture of privilege and maybe not necessarily conscious, but certainly unconscious oppression, right? Of this is something that's always been done this way, right? If women want to be successful, they want to wear pantsuits and whatnot, and portray a certain image. And oh, this is my favorite. You don't want to cry at work. God forbid you ever get caught crying at work, right?
Well, and our environment is basically, it's set in that middle class, upper middle class, male, white viewpoint. So that's what common sense is based off of.
Yes. However, that doesn't mean that that's really common sense or that that's the way things work or are supposed to work. And things are changing every day. And Latinas more and more are really making strides in business and being entrepreneurs and doing it all by being who they are, for bringing to the table, embracing that cultural heritage that they have as a crucial part of who they are. And I mean, I know that for me, it makes all the difference because I wouldn't be successful and knowledgeable at what I am, if I didn't embrace who I am as a Latina. And we've worked for other companies before, not our own. And you've certainly been witness to my frustration several times of things like I'm too loud, like I speak too loudly, I laugh too loudly, I don't get to the point right away when I'm starting a meeting or starting a conversation. And none of those things have stopped me from being successful. If anything, they attract more success because people feel more comfortable with you, they get to know you better, they feel trust, and I think it's a big part of if you're going to be successful, you have to love yourself and, like you said, stand in your truth, right?
Yeah. And it can be, because there's such a split that sometimes is then forced or felt like it's forced down your throat or forced on you by people who hold the power, like your boss or, who knows, somebody who's not necessarily understanding what it is and then giving you this feedback. And then that tends to be where women who I have worked with and who I have mentored and supervised tend to start muting themselves. And you've had that experience too, where you've tried to mute yourself. And then we lose some of your awesomeness and the things that you have to bring to the table, because there's a ton of stuff there that when you're trying so hard and putting so much energy to be and fit a mold that's not yours, you lose your creativity, you lose your ability to speak the observations that you have about certain projects or working with certain people or understandings that are being approached by the team that you're working with. And that's really something that's pretty sad when we lose that and we have dulled out team members.
Yeah. You lose your shine.
You lose your shine. And just because the ideas and the ways you go about things are a little bit, I don't know, this silly phrase, outside of the box. But it's like, whose box? really,
Yes.
why are we in a box to begin with?
Yes.
And that whole variation of, we have so many different variations within the Latino culture as it is, that there shouldn't be a box. It's more of a rainbow and a spectrum. And being able to create that space where everybody can share their part so that we learn and grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you and I were talking about this, and I was thinking about an old job that I had. I loved this company. I had been volunteering for them for a long time. It was a nonprofit organization, and I just felt like it was my calling to work for them. So when they offered me a position as a Latino outreach coordinator, I was like, yes, I found what I'm supposed to be doing. I was so excited. And I worked for them for a year. Only for a year, because seriously, they fired me on my 1-year anniversary. And here, like, I was tasked with basically bringing in the Latino community, creating these bonds, these relationships, increasing our numbers with the Latino community so that they could, you know, the company, the organization can make some progress. And I had my own way about doing this, because everyone else in the organization was an American, first and foremost, so they hadn't grown up in another culture. And then we had a few African Americans, and our front desk person, our receptionist, was a Latina as well. But the rest of the company was not familiar with other cultures. And so I came around and really shook some trees without really intending.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't intend to upset anyone, but I intended to do my job, and I intended to do it well. And I was tasked with, you know, you need to increase these numbers and, you know, really make some changes. And so I used my knowledge, my expertise, my creativity to go about that. And what I was told, maybe like 6 or 7 months in, was, you know, we love the numbers, but you really need to follow the way we do things. And it's like, well, the way you do things is targeted to a specific community, and it doesn't work for the Latino community. And so this is why I tried to explain myself several times of like, this is why I'm doing things in this way. It's not, you know, just because I want to be different, or because I want to be ornery or stubborn and not do things your way. It's, you know, there's a logic to what I'm doing.
Your goal and your way is not going to happen. My
Exactly.
way and your goal will happen.
Exactly. And so basically when I got let go, let's call it let go, because that's what I was told, you know, we're letting you go.
Let you go.
It was that your personality and your culture doesn't fit in with our company culture. And I was heartbroken. Like, for a month, I was depressed in bed, going, this was my calling in life. I thought that this was what I was meant to do, was really bring this information and this organization to my community members, to really share this with them and make a difference in the lives of Latinos. And I got a call about a month in from a former coworker from that organization, and she said, I just looked at your numbers, and you increased the goals that were set by over 75%. Like, you increased the numbers. I mean, you were doing an awesome job. And they let you go because they couldn't really come to terms with the difference between getting the job done and doing it well and doing it their way, which is like, and this should have never happened. The organization should have been smart enough to say, oh my God, look at her numbers. It doesn't matter that she's not following the way we do things right for this other population.
Yeah.
She's doing it in an effective way for the Latino population.
Yeah.
And so I really
in most situations where that the organization would be numbers driven instead of like practice driven. But it's one of those where there's some people that they haven't quite made that connection between the number and the practice. And if it's not their practice or they're micromanaging or whatever, that messes up, that's where, you know, their discomfort led to you being let go.
Exactly. And when she called me and said that, it was like a wake-up call. It was like, I'm not going to be depressed anymore. Screw this. I have tons of talent, and I need to get back out there and offer to a company or an organization who's really going to value this. And it made all the difference. But, you know, it did sting. But I think, absolutely, you feel rejected. And you feel rejected not just as a person. You feel rejected as this is my culture. This is where I come from. This is who I am. This is all I've been taught. But
well, and even that, like, it's a blow to your, because I've worked with some really powerful Latina women who are really good in their jobs, and being let go, you know, even if you're working in a Latino organization, I've had persons who I've supervised or mentored be let go because their version of how they present themselves or how they are in their full truth wasn't that organization's idea of what should be out there.
But then that's not the company for you. There's nothing wrong with how you do things. I mean, I've had fellow Latinas say to me, well, I had a supervisor talk to me about my hair that was, you know, dyed in some bright colors, and my big hoop earrings, and the way I dressed. And it didn't matter that I had a degree from Stanford University, and, you know, that I was great at my job, and I did a really, you know, I was doing what I was supposed to do. That supervisor addressed her and said, you know, you need to change the way you look, and you need to dress this way and look like this and speak this way. And she turned around and said, is it affecting my job, or am I getting my job done, and am I getting it done well? Supervisor not that, because she was doing it well, and she was, you know, outperforming what she was supposed to be doing. And so it was like, well, if it doesn't affect my job, then I'm going to dress the way I dress. I'm going to sound the way I sound. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. And I mean, I'm not saying you have to be abrasive, or even then I don't think that that's abrasive, but I'm saying, like, you don't have to be abrasive or rude about it, but you do have to, you know,
draw your line, set your boundary.
Yeah, absolutely. Draw your boundaries and say, this is who I am. I'm good at what I do. And if that doesn't serve you, if that's not what you want, then you don't want me.
Well, and if you're not focusing on what serves you and what you brought me in to do, and you're more concerned about these other parts of me, where really is your goal, and what was the reason why you brought me in onto the team?
Well, and think about it, like both cases, it's because the other people felt uncomfortable, right? It's not about the Latina. The Latina didn't feel uncomfortable. The Latina was kicking ass at her job, right? It was the other people in the agency, in the organization, in the company who said, oh my God, this person doesn't.
It doesn't fit in my box.
Yes. And so I need to change them so that I can be more comfortable, instead of saying, there's something that I need to change so that I can be more open and comfortable with everyone around me.
No.
Because then you're rejecting, I don't know, you're not only are you dulling that person's shine because you're trying to tone them down or change them or whatever, but you're rejecting the talents that you hired them for. And you're rejecting those benefits that are going to change the way you do business, that are going to make a difference for you.
Oh yeah. It's those points of view, and having those different types of personalities and viewpoints are the things that keep people innovative, that keep people challenged and growing and moving forward. And when you try to create something where everybody is the same size and shaped peg for the hole that you want to put them into, it's not the problem with the person, it's the problem with the organization, as far as like what really is your goal. And when they give your feedback, people are giving feedback from that viewpoint of discomfort, and not really what matters.
And if you're a Latina who is also an American, or who's also German, or who's also whatever, you're not just a Latina. Embrace your dual cultures. You can be one or the other or both. I mean,
really, you're your own unique thing. You are a mezcla of the two, and to be expected to divide yourself out and pick one, or only do this in one spot and do that in the other, is dulls your shine as well.
It does. It makes a huge difference. You know, and it's just remembering that, and I can't say it enough. Embracing who you are, embracing the culture you come from is a crucial part to your success. It's not a detriment. It's not something that is something that you need to change about yourself or ignore. It's really something that you need to embrace and own and say, this is a huge benefit. I mean, whenever someone would say, we had a coworker who would always say to me, you laugh too loudly. Could you do it a little more quietly?
What?
And I always wanted to say, like, the way I laugh is a huge part of the passion I feel, right? Like, and I would notice myself in meetings, the more passion I felt about something, I would get louder.
Yeah.
And even at home, I'm married to someone who is not a Latino, who will always say to me, why are you yelling? And it's like, I'm not yelling.
I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited. I get loud when I'm angry, and I get loud when I'm happy, and I get loud when I'm sad. I am pretty much always loud. But then, you know, if I'm not loud, you know that I'm not interested. It's not something I care about, not something I'm paying attention to. Like, it's just not my passion. And so, you know, I'm not going to dull that for anyone. I mean, I have had to learn to tone it down a little bit at home of like, this is when I'm yelling at you because you screwed up. And this is when I'm yelling because I'm super happy and you did something great. Like maybe the facial expressions or something.
Sometimes you have to give people a code book of like, this is what this means. And really, like, when you're in the right spot, when you're with the right people, they will accept the code book and they're like, this is how you understand me. And these people will be excited for you and they will see your shine, and the things that they come back with are more of those critiques and those growth points that really matter, and not those things that like dull your shine, be less. They're like, no, this is where you need to be more.
Absolutely. And an employer who is smart will totally see your talents and see that as an asset instead of a detriment. You know, they'll use it to the benefit of their company, smartly so.
They'll set you up with opportunities to use those strengths. They'll set you up with places where you can continue to practice and move that muscle so that it grows and becomes stronger and becomes brighter. And those are the things that it's like, if you are not feeling that in the environment that you're working in, you're in the wrong environment. If your supervisor, if your mentor is telling you to dull your shine or only focus on one part of you, you need to find somebody else that really sees the big picture of who you are and what you need. And that is going to be the person who will launch you into your success and into your greatness.
Absolutely. So, Sammy, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Enjoyed it.
It hits the mark. And if you're interested in learning more about us, we're at www.diversecommunities.net. We'd love to do a free 20-minute consultation with you. We do consulting services for organizations, one-on-one coaching services, either for you or your company. If you think your company could use a little bit of our services, feel free to refer them. Reserve us too, but refer them. And we also do workshops. So anything, we pretty much fit the bill, I think, for any services that your organization might need when it comes to working with Latinos, immigrants, or refugees, and really expanding the talents, you know, taking advantage to the full potential of diverse employees' talents and diverse populations. So we hope you've enjoyed this, and reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you.
Shine on.
Yes.
Something cool at cool.careerkickstartacademy.com.